Dear viewers, many thanks for joining us. This is our special edition on the current affairs of the country, Ethiopia. Today I'm going to have a webinar meeting with Birhanie Beka Geleto. She's one of the Ethiopian Diaspora member who is currently working on awareness creation works among the Ethiopian Diaspora community so as to help their country in all what they can. She's also founding member of ECP, Ethiopian Center for Peace and Prosperity. Again, she's a founding member of the executive of the ECS. Ethiopia shall continue and SEDA, Council for Ethiopian Diaspora Action. To mention a little, she's also working in different Ethiopian diaspora communities regarding the issue of the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam God in public awareness creation works and organizing different support for the dam and all over support for the development of Ethiopia. Birhanie Beka, many thanks for joining me and welcome.
Thank you for having me. Welcome.
Well, to begin with the current situation of the country, Ethiopia, what's your comment on the operation being underway in the Tigray regional state?
Well, it is very sad and disappointing to see the current operation in the Tigray regional state, as well as any instability in the country. We are living in 21st century, and we need to solve our problem using our mind, and technically we shouldn't instigate conflict among people, especially for political benefits. But the situation in Ethiopia is different, as I'm closely observing how things operate and handled due to the failed politics that the TPLF regime left behind, and also the crimes they continue committing and by undermining the federal government of Ethiopia. As a person who has been contributing to my part to the peace and stability of the country and my people prior to the reform and as well as after the reform had happened, I wish if this transition and reform goes peacefully and democratically. But things are not as we expected. And again, it's very disappointing, especially at the time the country got the youngest and the visionary leader who amazed the world community as well as the Ethiopian community by his exceptional performance within a short period of time and able to win the Peace Nobel Prize. And also for the first time in Ethiopia, and happening this is very disappointing, and I really upset with the situation, but the patience and the determination and the dedication that the Prime Minister had to bring the Ethiopian people together and transform the country from poverty to prosperity. I think both human internal and external enemies and those who lost their power, especially the TPLF criminal gangs who are eager to get back to power, as well as other power mongers actually collaborated to cause unspeakable damage to the people in different parts of the country since the reform had happened. It's public that the TPLF criminal elites are behind all the crimes committed in Ethiopia, directly or indirectly. And as you know, they are financing, training, equipping, and also directing any destruction forces in the country to challenge the administration and to sabotage its processes. So the Abiy government is he was very quiet and patient for a long time to maximize democracy and to bring the stability that requires to lead a country, but that patience considered as a weakness, and he started taking legal action on them that gives them, when he actually took time to take action, actually they used it as a good ground or as a great opportunity to continue engaged in illegal activities and undermine the government and the constitution of the country. As you know, again, the TPLF refused to obey the decision of the House of Federation and acted as if they have independent country while they are receiving budget and other assistance from the federal government. And those group again ordered their special forces, the Tigray Special Forces, and a member of the Tigray origin. Those are in the defense forces to attack the Northern Defense Command at the time they were in sleep. So, and that was like a total betrayal to the federal government, and it was totally a crime against humanity, and that Dr. Abiy or the Prime Minister, as a commander-in-chief, technically ordered the operation to bring those criminals to justice. I will use this opportunity to send my condolences to the families who lost their loved one and the Ethiopian people.
By the recent happenings in the country Ethiopia, there are also concerns by some individuals and many international organizations as Ethiopia may face civil war and will descend to chaos. What's your view here?
I don't think so. This is I think this operation is well and widely known by the Tigrayan people and the Ethiopian people. I think especially the Tigray people are the beneficiary of the outcome of this operation when the criminals brought to justice. And I think the people of Tigray should cooperate with the government and shouldn't suffer for the interest of the few benefited TPLF criminal gangs. And I think since the people of Ethiopia at large and the Tigrayan people are aware of how brutal the TPLF few criminal gangs, I don't think that people can go to civil war knowing their history for the past 27 years or since their inception. They have a great experience within themselves, how they get to power. They came to power even in the past by killing their own people who refused to buy their ideas. And since they came to the country, actually they did contribute a lot to divide the Ethiopian people ethnically and instigating different conflicts to prolong their leadership. But the people actually refused their brutality and oppressed in unison and actually throw them to Mekelle. So I think I don't think it creates a civil war again because the people are the victim of their leadership.
Why the TPLF Tigray People's Liberation Front officials want to start the war at this time?
Well, it's difficult for me actually to understand why they started when they got the opportunity to live in their own country. When the Prime Minister assumed the office, he actually apologized for the crimes they have been committed, and they never brought justice for the crimes they have been committed to our people. And this is not, we are not talking as history. This is like we are the living witness. We are the survival of their brutal torture. And we have the living survivals of their worst crime. And also in Ethiopian history, we heard the past, but comparing what had happened in the past and with the TPLF region, we had the worst leadership in the country that destroyed the people value, the generation value. And I think they started this at this time. Maybe the people in the government is sick of them, and basically they are refusing all the opportunities given to them. And maybe they started now because I think there was, because of their refusal to obey and cooperate with the government, the federal government. Maybe there is a budget, I think I heard there was a budget cut and also removal of some TPLF elites from the position. Maybe that triggers them, or I think God will brought justice to the Ethiopian people when they surrender or brought to justice. So I think this is a good opportunity for the Ethiopian people to get a relief for prolonging time if we really use the opportunity to bring and capture the criminals that were destroying the country and the people for years.
Well, some people are saying that the underway operation is a war declared by the federal government, by the people and government of Tigray, while the others are arguing and saying that there is no war between the federal government and the people of Tigray. It is rather an operation to control the TPLF-led criminals. What's your comment right here?
I think this is not, I think first of all, it's not a war against people of Tigray. This is a clear operation to bring the criminals to justice who are behind all the horrific crimes in the country, all the displacement. This is like a long-standing problem and instability, especially after the reform had happened. So I don't think it is a war that is declared to the Tigrayan people. This is simply to bring the criminals to justice.
More than 2.5 years, the federal government of Ethiopia chose for maximum self-control, even though it was criticized by its own citizens, including members of the Ethiopian Parliament, House of People's Representative, and others, for not taking any measure upon those guys for their legal activities. And now, when the federal governments have started taking measures, the citizens are again criticizing the government for the action underway. Why this?
The government took a long time to act on these criminals, criminal gangs, but those who support the TPLF and the criminal gangs always criticize the government, whether it does right or wrong. They continue to blame the government because most of them are against the current government due to their interest to get into power. Not through a peaceful struggle, through destroying and the destruction human and personal properties. So they continue to criticize the government, but they maybe some of them are, see the opportunity to advance their own political interest and again continue to do so. I think regardless of what the government does, they continue to criticize, they continue to blackmail to continue to destroy the image as they have started, like by associating the government, like as if the government is running a unitary system where the government party, especially the Prosperity Party, had a plan to rule the country democratically, like where all the nation and the nationalities, or where the ethnic nationalities get their representation based on their population size. Whereas during the TPLF regime, regardless of the population size, everyone had equal representation. And also, the government had like a language policy where they had in their policy, like they had 5 languages, I think, instead of the current federal language, which is only Amharic. I think they added Afan Oromo and other languages. So they already started misleading the vast majority of the Ethiopian people. I think that the Ethiopian people are getting the intent of the Prime Minister, where he wants us to bring a unity among the Ethiopian people and transfer them prosperity. And actually, the government is conducting and implementing and finishing so many projects, even while dealing with so many challenges internally as well as externally.
Now, when the operation is underway between the federal government and the TPLF officials, what kind of activities should be carried out or undertaken so as to save the people of Tigray not to be affected by the action taking place between those two armed groups?
Well, as we have been witnessing this operation for the past 2 weeks, we actually observed that the government is taking a maximum care not to affect or attack the civilians, and actually targeting specific places where they suspected any consequences that trigger or that accelerate the operation between the few TPLF criminal gangs versus the law enforcement. Actually, the government is taking care of by airstrike, and also those, especially the special forces of the Tigray forces, are joining or surrendering to the federal government security forces, and actually they are giving their testimony how the TPLF elites were brutal even to them, and appreciating the care they have been given by the federal security forces. So I think the government should continue as they are operating now, and as much as possible to make it, to capture, they should like focus in capturing the few in the targeted TPLF criminal groups, those behind all these messes.
Following the recent situation of the country, Ethiopia, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, has shifted and appointed different officials, including key federal positions. Do you believe that this can help the country back to its peace and stability in every perspective?
I think the PM knows who is efficient and effective in a given position or role. The most important thing is to have the right person on the right position. I'm one of, I mean, it's not a country, but I have an experience like as a leader and to manage personnel and employees. I think you assign the person who is capable to do the given role, even if all have the same experience or capability, not everyone carries the role effectively. So I think the government or Dr. Abiy knows the staff, knows his resource, and I think I feel like he is allocating his resource to use it wisely. And I mean, if the right person is on the right position, definitely it will contribute to the peace and the stability of the country.
Well, coming to Ethiopian diasporas, what will be the role of the Ethiopian diasporas living in different parts of the country at this critical time for their country, Ethiopia? What would be their role?
I think as a diaspora, actually, we are supporting any peace and the development that is underway in the country. Like, we are involved in different parts. Like, if you take, I'm one of the volunteers to establish the Ethiopian Diaspora Trust Fund in the DMV area. I'm a chairwoman, so we were mobilizing funds to help the people of Ethiopia. Again, when it comes to the GERD issue, we were becoming the voice and submitting different petitions to make the American people and our representative aware of what's going on in the country. Again, regarding to the current situation in Ethiopia or the operation that is underway to bring the TPLF criminal gangs to justice, well, some of the diaspora activists or the TPLF activists are trying to mislead the community, but we are trying to frame why it is necessary and what. First of all, we are actually making sure our friends, our representatives are actually aware of that. The government is not the one who started the current operation, and it is not a war against the Tigrayan people. This is an operation that is going on. Actually, the operation that's supposed to be happened 2 years ago is actually coming into life based on the crimes this criminal TPLF elites committed. And we are continue submitting the petition and talking to our representative. And actually, the U.S. Foreign Secretary is actually aware, and they actually also tweeted, and as the TPLF criminal gangs started the situation and this is not a war against the people of Tigray or Ethiopia. And we are also contacting our representative, making sure they are aware. But we are working part-time and we are fully engaged in our day-to-day activities and we are not up to we are not taking care of the role of activism full-time as the paid TPLF activists were doing, because, as you know, these TPLF elites, they have their family outside. Their family are residing in foreign countries in a prepaid housing and prepaid everything, while we are working to pay our own life mortgage. And again, we are trying to help our people in the government. So somewhat we are not fully engaged 100% as of compared to the TPLF activists and other groups that are against the government of Ethiopia or Dr. Abiy. But we are really doing our best given our limited time to do so.
Now the U.S. has guided its new elected president, Joe Biden. Do you believe that the U.S. president or the new elected president or the U.S. election in general have its own positive impact for the countries of Africa, including Ethiopia?
In general, U.S. policy toward Africa is the same, regardless of who is in office or in position. Always U.S. implements its own interest. But comparing the personalities of the individual who are implementing those policies, there is a big difference or make a difference, because historically the Democratic Party nominees or the Democratic Party leaders have long-lasting friendship and attachment with the Ethiopian people, as well as like the African or immigrant community. And the party is supporters or members are the migrants were the majority in the party, including myself, and also most of the Ethiopian second generation or Ethiopian heritage, as well as like the new migrant like me, are working in the administration or in the party in different role. As you may be aware of, we had an Ethiopian who is running the current administration or appointed as chief of staff. And also this year we had an Ethiopian origin, a woman who was elected to the Senate from New York State. I think Democratic Party is more of a party that most Ethiopian people involved in directly or indirectly, and most immigrants in general. So their view or the leaders' view toward the developing country or the African country is better than the other parties, especially take our current president. He's against immigrant, he's against women, he's against black. It's hard to say the word. I mean, I'm trying to choose words that is not discriminatory, but you know, the world is a witness what he said about the guard and everything. So I think for me, the Democratic Party is more liberal, inclusive, thoughtful, and respectful of other nation and the nationalities, especially to the African nation and Ethiopia in particular.
I'm almost done with my questions. Birhanie, if you have a general message for the people and government of Ethiopia regarding the current situation of the country and other issues, you're highly welcomed.
Thank you for the opportunity. I think as we have observed or witnessing, the people of Ethiopia are giving their blood, giving their support to the National Defense Forces. And I think I urge them to continue to support their government and the families of the victims, and to stand together at this difficult time to win or to bring those criminals to justice. And the people should watch their neighborhood, their surrounding, and they should be the protector of their own peace. They should protect themselves. They should aware of what's going on in their neighborhood, in their localities, in their qabalis, etc. And also, the people should say something if they suspect something. If they see something unusual, something uncommon, they should say something to the law enforcement. And the most important thing, they should prepare themselves to bring the government that use their ballot, not the bullet, to lead them. They should be prepared to have a peaceful transition. They should prepared to elect whom they want to represent them. They should come out of the mentality that that their political party or the few power mongers should come to power by gun. They should avoid that because they already saw and witnessed how the TPLF brutal regime went to, the power overtaken internally without using any gun or fight. So the people should prepare themselves and stop collaborating with anyone who advocates war, who advocate getting into power through violence. The people should protect and transition their thinking, their mentality, that war is not the solution for a political power. And for the Ethiopian government, the government should continue to take maximum care not to affect civilians while conducting the operation, to bring the criminals to justice as much as possible. Make sure all the borders of Ethiopians are protected, like all the borders are protected and secure from any external enemies or adversaries. As you know, Ethiopia had at least become aware of one adversaries or in the region, if I don't want to mention the name. And also, the Ethiopian people in the government should be aware that the tribe, the government is doing to use its own resource and get out of poverty, maybe not acceptable for other part of the country or the world. So I think that's the most important thing, is able to protect their territories or their boundaries. The other thing I want to advise or send a message to the Ethiopian government is to provide timely update how the operation is going on to the international community or the diplomats who are in the capital city of Ethiopia. They should give a live update, immediate update of what's going on, because the international committee shouldn't buy the propagandas manufactured or the misinformation that goes around or comes around from the TPLF activists. And they should have like strong PR process or PR firm here in diaspora as well as in the country. Especially, I do recommend for the Ethiopian government, especially living in a capital city of America and working in the PR firm. I know the experience, from experience, the power of PR firm in terms of communicating what's going on in the country without bias. They should have, like in a city like, here in DC, in London, in major cities, to have a strong PR firm that helps the diplomats. The diplomats are actually updating the daily activities, but I feel like they do need additional help that helps them to communicate with different news medias and, both print and, TV. So I think they should have a firm that advocates for reality, advocate for truth, advocate for the people of Ethiopia.
Well, Birhanie, that's all what I had for today, and I really appreciate your kindness for this interview. Again, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, dear viewers, this will bring us to the end of this edition. I'm Lukabawandamo by hosting and producing this program for you. We'd like to wish you to have a beautiful stay with the remaining of these programs.